Fellas, how in the hell are we doing here today? Now, I just want to start this off by first saying I'm sorry, alright? I wanted to have this review up like a week ago, but this was actually a pretty big game and took me a while to fully check out. And I was also working on some other stuff, but we're here, we've made it. And today, I'm here to give you the good word on Star Wars Outlaws. This was another one of my most anticipated games of the year. So even though we're late here, I still wanted to get this review out for you guys and let you know what I kind of think about everything. Also, from here on out, we will just be referring to it as Outlaws, not Star Wars Outlaws, because I'm already going to be saying Star Wars enough in this video. But alright, let's do it. Outlaws is a brand new action-adventure game developed by Massive Entertainment and published by Ubisoft. Long story short, if you've ever played an Assassin's Creed or a Far Cry or a Tomb Raider style game, this is the exact same thing but with a Star Wars coat of paint. The story follows Kay Vess, a brand new character created for this game, who's a thief with ties to the Star Wars criminal underworld. I thought the actual premise itself was pretty interesting with all the criminal syndicates and whatnot, but the story overall was pretty boring. None of the characters seem invested in what's going on, and the story at times doesn't really make sense. Like Kay spending the past 5 hours telling us and Nix that we gotta wait for a big score.
We're alive. We fix the ship, get to the core worlds, and land a big score. We just gotta do a few jobs like this before we hit it big, alright?
And then a big score comes around and she's like, you know what? People like me don't really mess with people like that.
That easy. There's a reason people like me don't push back on people like Slero.
Wait, what are we talking about? And also just the sheer amount of cutscenes that pop up. I mean, it got to a point where about halfway through the game, I would just start skipping cutscenes because it felt like I couldn't walk 5 minutes without one popping up on screen. I just really didn't care anymore. In terms of Star Wars, this story takes place between episodes 5 and 6. At this point in time, the Empire is ruling the galaxy and the war against the rebellion is at its peak. Outlaws is indeed canon to the Star Wars story, but it's secluded in its own world in a sense. This game isn't necessarily concerned with showing the flashier side of Star Wars either. It's more centered around the actual world, people, and places. The best example I can give for this are like the Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor games. While those are really cool games that I thoroughly enjoyed, those games are more about the lightsabers, force powers, inquisitors, oh my, which are more of the flashy, cool elements that people are typically drawn to. There's nothing like wrong with that or anything. Like I said, I mean, I liked the Jedi games, but it's cool to see a game that's more so focused on the actual world of Star Wars with all the different planets, cities, people, animals, equipment, you name it. The narrative also doesn't ever try to rewrite things or interject itself into things that have already happened, like in the grand scheme of things. But I will say, they do throw in a couple of fan service Easter eggs that are pretty easily recognizable. And these Easter eggs also help reinforce the game's place in the Star Wars timeline. The gameplay for Outlaws is damn near identical to any other action-adventure Ubisoft game, except this one is in space, and it's Star Wars. The entire experience consists of you traveling around the galaxy doing random little jobs for people that all help out towards your larger goal, which is a big heist. 90% of the missions have you breaking in somewhere to steal something, which can be accomplished in a sneaking stealth mode or all-out guns blazing. You also have various different items and equipment to help you out that you progressively unlock throughout the game, but a lot of this stuff just feels like random filler. Like I never even really felt the need to upgrade my blaster or kit unless it was required by the game. Something that sets this apart from other Ubisoft titles is the fact that you can pilot a ship in space, which is pretty neat, but there's other games like Battlefront 2 or Star Wars Squadrons that just did it so much better. You know, I actually just got done playing Halo Reach not too long ago, and the flying in that game from 2010 didn't really feel that much different from this. I can't even fly upside down, it auto flips me right side up every time. What's going on here? This isn't flying in space. This game is also technically open world, but it's the most restricting open world game I think I've ever played. I can't tell you how much you're constantly corralled around the map into the direction they actually want you to go, which is extremely annoying when you're just trying to check stuff out. If there is one thing I can say they did really well, it is definitely the minigames. Now, minigames is a rather blanketed term because I'm talking about a lot of different things here, but they're all great. For starters, they have little arcade games that can be found around different outposts, and they're sick. They're all pretty simple games like remember where something is or dodge an obstacle on a track, but they're extremely addicting. Once you find it, it's hard to just play once. I mean, I found myself enjoying these a lot. They also have gambling, which comes in the form of betting on horse races, and a card game called SABACC. The horse races give you a list of horses with different stats, and you have to bet on who you think will be the winner. There's also data pads around the map that you can find that'll tell you who's going to win, but it honestly kind of takes the fun out of the betting. But at the same time, I mean, who cares? Free credits. Besides the horse races, like I said, there's also a card game called SABACC, and fellas, let me just tell you that this was easily the most fun I had in the entire game. The levels to this game and the nuance of everything is really top notch. I mean, they put a lot of thought into it. SABACC is a card game played with 2 to 4 people, and long story short, the object of the game is to create the best 2-card hand possible in 3 turns. There's also things that change how you play, like shift tokens that can alter the course of the game in a unique way, or you can use nicks to cheat against an opponent. I will say it was a little hard to fully take the game seriously because I wasn't sure if it was fully random and how it deals out cards. I feel like it kind of has a way of picking and choosing on that. Maybe I'm wrong, I mean I don't know for certain, but it didn't feel 100% random. It felt like there could be a little tomfoolery going on if they really wanted me to lose at a table. But all in all, like I said, SABACC was great and easily the most fun I had the entire time. If I'm able to buy real life SABACC cards, I'm doing it in a heartbeat. That might be my new favorite game ever. Moving on to the visuals, like I said in the beginning, this game feels a lot more focused on the actual world of Star Wars, and I thought they used the IP really well. Everything from the places, people, and things all look great and feel like Star Wars. But there were a few things your boy wasn't a fan of. For starters, like I also said earlier, this game is flooded with cutscenes, and most of them aren't even story related. It'll just be something like an NPC talking to you and it just locks you in place for like 3 minutes. Even if you want to skip the cutscene, I mean it's still a whole like loading process you have to go through that just stops the flow of gaming. Or also when you're entering into some areas, it also does this, where it'll just put you in like a quick little loading cutscene, but it just completely stops everything. It's kind of annoying when it happens a lot. I could have sworn they also announced before this game released that you'd be able to fly from a planet to space seamlessly, but that is also just a cutscene. Then if you're flying to another planet, you press 2 buttons to activate hyperdrive, sit there for another 5 seconds or so, and then you're brought to, you guessed it, another cutscene. Like damn, when can I ever just play this game for any sort of extended period of time? Something else that I didn't really like was that damn near everybody in this game seems absolutely expressionless. They didn't animate any sort of facial expressions on any of these people. Like look at my boy over here, he just got shot in the leg and he's all stone cold Steve Austin about it. He doesn't even care. As far as audio goes, Star Wars has some very iconic sounds and songs under its belt, and they're fully present in this game. The blasters sound great, stormtroopers are trooping, the music is cinematic, and the vehicles sound pretty good too. While I think this is a category that was an easy layup for a Star Wars game, there were 2 things that I didn't really enjoy, and those are the music at times and the voice actors. Like I said, the music is great, I ain't lying about that, but this game almost force feeds it down your throat for the sake of, hey, this is Star Wars music, it's good music, huh? You like this music? Hey, take as much music as you can because you like this music. They'll be blasting it through the headset in the middle of a conversation. Somebody will be saying the most casual shit ever, but it sounds like the Battle of Yavin going on in the background. It's weird. Long story short, they use it a lot, and they use it in weird places that they could definitely tone it back a little bit. Next, as far as voice actors, it seems like damn near nobody cares about this script at all. People sound lifeless most of the time, which also kind of plays into what I was saying in the visuals category. I know the expressions on the face have nothing to do at all with how the voice actors are doing, but it just seems like neither department cared about making these characters interesting. As far as bugs and issues go, this game certainly has its quirks. I've already mentioned most of my issues with the gameplay and such, but as far as bugs, the game mainly conflicts between the player and the environment, like getting stuck in places or people and things not moving in the space like they properly should. But I will say, I didn't have any sort of crashes or anything game breaking unless you count the getting stuck in places. I also played this game quite a bit over cloud gaming and it actually ran surprisingly well. I mean, that's when I was really expecting it to shit the bed, but it didn't. In conclusion, Your Honor, Star Wars Outlaws was just alright. As a fan of Star Wars, I enjoyed getting to dink around in the world and actually checking that kind of stuff out for myself in a sense, but in 2024, for me, this gameplay loop is very tiresome, and the story also doesn't give you enough to actually care about the experience. This doesn't mean the gameplay wasn't done well. I think that they did a good job with what they set out to do, and for other people, I mean, this might be your absolute bread and butter. But for me personally, this formula is just old and not the most fun anymore. To wrap this all up into a rating today, 1 to 10, I think I'm gonna give it a 5. It's just extremely mid. I loved the Star Wars elements, I loved the SABACC, but that's about it. I'm being so serious, besides the card game, I can't think of anything from Outlaws that really drew me into it much. I would hop on here just to run High Roller Pockets in SABACC. It was definitely the best part of the whole experience. And I know I've said that like 3 times already, but it is because it was the best part of the experience. Well, folks, that is going to do it here for our review today. If you have also played Star Wars Outlaws, comment down below and let me know what you thought of the game. I'd love to hear it. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. You know what I'm saying? I post videos like this all the time. I would appreciate the hell out of that. Alright boys, yeah, I'm done rambling. Catch y'all later. This has been Lunar, and welcome to Bound.